Hey everyone, here's another video from me, Dr. Tracy. Woohoo! We're getting towards the end here. Done a lot of videos. I hope they've been helpful. We have a few more chapters to cover. This week it's touchscreens and mobile devices. And then we get some stuff with Ajax and jQuery in the next couple of weeks, and we'll be done. Touchscreens and mobile devices programming adds to what JavaScript already does, because the functionality for touchscreens and mobile devices is going to work the same as within a browser or whatever you're going to add. Now, adding JavaScript to pages so that it works for touchscreens and mobile devices is not the same as making a mobile app or a touchscreen app. You'll need a standalone object-oriented programming language for that. Java works very well. JavaScript, however, just like with the browser, only works on the engine of HTML. So it's only going to work in a mobile device on HTML, but you can make the experience of someone who is visiting the website from a touchscreen or mobile device much better through the use of JavaScript objects. You see in chapter 10 that the main thing that's going over here is how to integrate the mouse, touch, and pointer events on the web page. And then the ending part of the chapter goes and talks about using the user's geolocation information and optimizing a mobile web app based on constraints. Those last couple of objectives are based on the use of APIs. API stands for Application Programming Interface, and it provides a set of objects and methods and functions that will allow you to utilize what they are. In this case, your geolocation, which can be found by the GPS on a mobile device. So on this page, I've added additional information about some of the stuff that's coming out of the chapter, like pointer events and the geolocation API, and where you can find it and how you can find out more information about it so that you can use it. It may mean an installation. It may be something that you already have. In many cases, APIs just need to be installed as part of the creation and then included in the page. So that's that. This week, your discussion is to select a website of your choice and describe it in general terms of what you would do to that to convert it into a mobile app. Well, basically, what I mean by that, and like I said before, you're not making apps, but what would you do to make a web page more easy to view and visible when it's viewed by a mobile application? So if you could take a look at this and discuss which functions you would want to break up in order to load the scripts responsively, that is also included by looking at the code. You can view the code source of that page and see what kind of functions are a part of it. But also tell me visual things or what kind of functions you might create so that it would respond better to touch or to movement or to geolocation. There is no project for the end of chapter 9, but you should read over because all of this stuff will be included on a test. We're going to have one more test. If you look at the home schedule, here we go. On the schedule, you can see that the last 3 chapters we're covering in here, programming for touchscreens and mobile devices, and okay, oops, I found an error. I paused. I fixed it. Anyway, the schedule just changed before your eyes. I'm sorry. But, okay, what I was going to say was you'll see that the last 3 chapters I'll be covering each week are going to be included. And the tests that we have down here, I listed test 4 and test 5 comprehensive. But really what I mean by that is this whole test is going to count for 2 tests. So it's going to cover all of this stuff, and it's going to be a little bit larger, and since it's comprehensive, it might have a few questions of this stuff back here, but it's going to count double the points of test 1, 2, and 3 so that we can have 500 points that accounts for a test. So this is going to be a 200-point test in the last week. So there's no more homework between here and then, but you will have a big test to finish out this class during the last week of school. Okay, so with that said, let's skip over to PowerPoint. And let's take a look at some of the things I want to point out of this chapter that are fairly important. And basically what you want to look at when you're reading through this chapter is to understand what objects are now included to be used on touchscreen devices. So this is going to mean that when you use some of the objects that you're already using within a browser, like mouse down and mouse up, you have to think in terms of how it is equivalently used when you're dealing with a touchscreen device. Some web page elements respond to mouse events with a touchscreen device, and they act as if it is just a mouse, and so you don't have to do anything. But other ones require different events. Additionally, there are mouse events such as touch start, touch end that work differently, and this is the cascade order. Cascade order on here means if you have several different commands, it will start with the click command. And if there is a mouse up command, then that is going to override a click command. So it won't do two functions at once. If there's a mouse down, then that's going to override mouse up because mouse down comes before mouse up. If there's a mouse move, then that comes before the click completion. And so each one of these shows at the, if there is events for every one of these, it will only do the last one. And that's what it means by touch cascade order. Sometimes you put in multiple events because you're designing for a web page and a tablet and a mobile, so you have different ones, and some of those events might not function in different platforms. So touch events created by Apple are different than the pointer events that are created by Microsoft. I put on some resources on the page on Canvas that should lead you a little bit more information about those specific events that are specific to the platform. My cat says hello. She is meowing in the background. She wants my attention. Hold on. Now, when you were talking about touch screen events, touch start, touch move, touch end, and touch cancel are three different events that you can include within JavaScript that dictate what happens when different events happen with touch. So these can be incorporated in much the same way that you've been incorporated other events, but it's the same thing as like mouse down or mouse move, but we use the touch events instead. And there's also coordinates, which we say client X property and client Y property. And both of those describe the position, which work with mouse events and with touch events, but they aren't supported on all of the touch event tablets. Distinguishing between the types of interaction, you can add the prevent default method, which ensures that whatever operating system interface you have won't change whatever events you have. It'll default to the events that you have instead when the users interact with your app. So this shows how we could have a single touch event and how it will look differently within a desktop browser and a mobile browser, but the default is that it will still react the same way. There's a section in here about pointer events, which are Microsoft particular, and there is a section about application programming interfaces, especially about geolocation. Please review these, but I also provided more resources on the Canvas page to take a look at. They're less important. The main thing I wanted to get out of this chapter is for you to get how to work on mobile devices with extra events. So that's it for this one, and I'll talk to you next week. Let me know if you have any questions. You can send me an email. Hope to hear from you soon. Bye-bye.